palettes, they're usually located on the far right side, and as you can see, I've got layers and the history palette here. And what are palettes? Well, palettes are individual windows that again serve to carry some functions for your art project. Now in the case of layers, I more or less demonstrated that already. You probably are familiar with this icon right here, which is called the new layer. Okay, if you notice that layer 1 has been already created, and basically what it allows me to do, I'm going to go ahead and click on the marquee tool, create that square or rectangle if you will, and then I'm going to fill it with the, well, let's just keep it at the background color. But the layer palette, I can actually move things around. Okay, there we go. And then also what the layers palette allows me to do is duplicate a layer. Okay, and notice I've got now 2 different blue layers, but now I can actually color this in. Okay, fill. This time with the foreground color. There you have it. At any rate, we'll be going over the layers palette shortly. My main concern is that you have only these 2 layers, or to better understand how you can control which layer appears on your interface. Now, the problem with teaching here is that I'm not sure how many layers exist on your screen. You might have something that looks like this. A lot of stuff here, a lot of confusion, a lot of clutter. Well, you can certainly keep things this way if you'd like, but let me show you how to better control it and unclutter things. Now, as you can see right now, here's the layers, and this icon here is history. That's what we want. We want to go from here to here. Here's my layers, here's my history. Let's go back to the way it was if I click on Workspace Essentials. Okay, so the first thing what I would like to do is take the layers and the history and isolate them right away. So I'm going to click onto layers and drag it out. Now for the history palette, you see this little arrow here. This is the expand icon, and if I click on the 2 arrows pointing to the left, look what happens. The history palette suddenly appears. And that allows me to grab this and move it out. So now I've got the history palette and the layers palette side by side. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this in until I see this blue coloration. Okay, and when that happens, I can let go. And now I've got my layers and my history palette together. And if I feel like having a history palette come first, I can just grab, click and hold, and slide history to the left. Or if I want layers, I can do the same. Press and hold and glide to the left. Simple. And I'm just going to leave it here for now. Now I want to unclutter all this, and the key to this, well, there's several ways. First of all, you notice that color, libraries, and paths are all selected. I can go up to Window, and moving down, you'll notice the same panels that are highlighted are also checkmarked. Here's color. History, of course, is highlighted that we just separated. Libraries, paths, and properties. All these are highlighted. And if I uncheck them, notice that they disappeared. Let me go back. I went ahead and I unchecked properties. So once again, if I uncheck color, watch what happens. The properties panel and something else also disappears. But the best way to do this is these hamburger icons. If I click and select close tab group, there, it's gone. And I keep doing that. Close tab group. Notice it shrinks further and further away. And now, as you can see, only libraries is left. Grab this out, okay, and push this along the side over there.
Okay, so in order for the floating palette, so if you're stuck with a floating palette that just kind of is here, what you can do, and if you have the desire to put it back on the side, I'm going to have to move Photoshop in a little bit so I can better show you. Okay, so I'll narrow Photoshop. Hopefully you're able to see it, and I'll bring it down a little bit. So there we go. Bring it over and across. There we go. So now you see the floating palette kind of even goes outside of Photoshop. So, well, what if I want it back in this area? So all I got to do is focus on the mouse, the cursor rather, the cursor. If you've noticed the black cursor here, watch the cursor as I move it back to the side. Okay, here we go. Now you see the blue coloration. I'm going to let go, and there it is. It's back on the side. And I can go ahead and remove it again and do it again. See, there we go. So it's all about where the cursor head is. And then I can go ahead and move it back to where it was, and that's how you do it.
For my libraries, well, I'm just going to basically click on the hamburger icon, close tab group, and that's it. Now, I love this layout. It has less clutter, it's smooth, it's good, and it brings only the two palettes that I want. So what if I, from now on, want to save this? I can actually save a layout. So I'm going to go to Window, Workspace, and then I'm going to click on, well, it might say on your end, Save Workspace. And here it says Workspace. So what I might do, just to demonstrate, is that I can actually make another, let's say for instance I want to choose Actions. Actions are right here. Okay, this is a really cool palette that I have, and I'm going to drag it to the right of the History palette. There you have it. And I want to save this. So I'm going to go to Window, Workspace, and as you can see, you have the option of New Workspace. Well, I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I can actually save this as a new workspace. So I'm going to name it myself, and I'm going to go ahead and press save. And it'll ask me, because I already have a Hagues workspace, I'm going to say no. Instead, I'm going to call it Mr. Hagues, since I'm much older than Hagues. I'm going to press save, and if I go back to Window and I go back to Workspace, you'll notice that I have both options, Hagues, okay, and Mr. Hagues. If I go back to Windows and or Workspace, you notice that I've got Hagues and Mr. Hagues. I've got both of these options available to me for whichever one I want.